giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We are streaming live on YouTube, and of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are switching it up today, shaking it up. We're going to power rank our ops. Yeah. Top 10 passing attacks the Cowboys defense will face. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't even know if I agree with my own list. So I'm gonna rap to y'all about where to rank the most dangerous passing attacks the Cowboys will see in the 2024 season. Okay? Up to the last minute, I'm talking. I was trying to figure this thing out. Plus, in the roundup, we have a pre-camp injury report, an update on one of our most important players. So in the roundup, we'll take care of that. So make sure y'all stick around for that and the meat and potatoes of the show, man. What's good with your bomb squad?
Bomb Squad!
The Cowboys, at least the staff and writers and all that good stuff, they are making their way to Oxnard right now. I can't remember if the actual team has already left the building, but I'd be shocked if they didn't, because we are quite literally, now I'm confused though. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 days away or 1 or 2 days away from the first practice. From what I was reported, was told Wednesday is not a practice, but maybe it is. We'll see. It was Thursday's practice. Either way, it's right here. If you go look around the league, training camp is begun across the league, depending on who your team is. Some rookies have reported. Vets are now meeting up with rookies. The Cowboys don't do that. Everybody meets up at the same time. And I do know, like I said, Cowboy staffers are in the air right now or on the road, depending on how they got there, to Cowboys training camp. So, as well as some content creators as well. So make sure y'all lock in for all of the camp coverage, because we will be giving it to you here as well. But like I said, today, top 10, we did something similar. I think we did it last year, y'all. We did top 10 rushing attacks, top 10 quarterbacks the Cowboys will face, top 10 passing attacks. I think it's something I kind of incorporated in this dead period over the last 1 or 2 seasons. And usually I do multitude of these. I'm probably only going to do 1 or 2. But it's a good way to kind of bypass some time, study up on your opponents. If you're new here, which if you're here right now at 8:54 Central, 6:54 Pacific, and 9:54 Eastern, then you know how we do things here. But if you are new here, during the season, we break down each opponent. I would like to say more than most that, cover the team. We dive all the way into the offense, the defense, the scheme, film. We break it all down. But right now, we're kind of just going to take a step back, have a little fun, and look at these teams from a broader view and rank them. Yeah, I know everybody love lists, right? Everybody love rankings. Now, let's stir up a little commotion with these rankings, all right? Let's get into this roundup, and we'll hit it.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time.
It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
I can tell you right now, number 1 on the list is Denzel Daxon. I'm just saying, he's number 1 in our hearts. Shouts out to Roy. Let me talk to you, Cowboys Nation. Yesterday, one of the Jones lackeys, one of the Cowboys close reporters, he said that there was an update on a Trayvon Diggs situation, which if you've been following the tea leaves, we kind of expected this, but this comes from David Moore over at Dallas Morning News. Says, quote, Diggs is expected to be placed on the physically unable to perform list, aka the PUP list, later this week once the Cowboys report to Southern California, a person with knowledge of the player's status said. The designation comes as no surprise since the cornerback is just 9 months removed from surgery to repair a torn ACL, end quote. So, fitting, we're talking about top 10 passing attacks today, and the Cowboys have maybe their most important defensive back starting camp on PUP list. Now, this isn't new. I believe some odd years ago, who was it, y'all? Was it Byron Jones? Byron Jones was on the PUP list for a long time, but then it was removed. Just kind of a refresher on how this thing works. And again, if I'm wrong, someone correct me here. If you start on PUP list, not a big deal. If you end camp on PUP list, huge deal. Because then you have to sit out, I don't know what it is now. They keep switching things up. It used to be 6 games. I feel like it's 9 now. I think it got extended. But, you know, at the minimum 6 weeks, the Cowboy player or any player who was on PUP list finishes camp on PUP list, stays there for about a quarter of the season. So that is something we'll have to watch here, and the Cowboys will have to monitor is how is he coming along? Is it enough to where they trust him? Because I think that's going to be the big question mark coming out of camp. Yeah, we got battles and all this and all that, but is Diggs going to be ready? You know, me personally, y'all know I feel like Diggs is going to have one of the better seasons of the ACL guys that the Cowboys have most recently had over the number of years, but I'm more cautiously optimistic. I'm not saying it with my chest because I do have PTSD. So while, yeah, I'm confident he's going to return, what if he doesn't? Like, what if he is on PUP and now we're going 6 to, 8 weeks, whatever, without Trayvon Diggs? Me personally, I know how I feel about the cornerback room, and we'll be talking about that tomorrow. I would be a lot nervous without Diggs. So, something to keep an eye on, Cowboys Nation. When will Trayvon Diggs get out there, and when will he gain the confidence of this coaching staff? Law said, let's go get Gilly. I have to believe that Gilly is, his number is sitting on that desk just in case. Hallelujah says, I think he should sit out. A lot of people think just like you. Hallelujah. They feel as though let him sit till the bye week. Aislinn, it's 4 weeks now. Okay, so it went down. Actually, I thought it increased. So it's 4 weeks if you start the season on PUP list. Not as much as I thought, actually. But so you're talking about the first 4 weeks of the season. Let's real quick before we jump to the top 10. Cowboys schedule. I usually have it just right up there waiting to go. So let's say, he misses the first 4 weeks. You got Cleveland, New Orleans, Baltimore, New York. When it comes to passing attacks, it's kind of up in the air there, right? It's not the most daunting of games from that standpoint, but you still have the MVP, 2-time MVP. You still got, Cleveland's wide receiver core, which we'll talk about. New York, who cares? And New Orleans can be sneaky, but if there was a spot to miss Trayvon Diggs for 4 weeks, I'd argue that's the one right there. Yeah. Maybe weeks 12 to 16, but that's way down the list. So if you are for Trayvon Diggs sitting, I mean, man, I would hate it though, but I hear what y'all saying. Make sure he's ready to go. So let me start off this top 10 by telling you who is not on the list. We did this last time. Carolina is not on the list for obvious reasons. New York, not on the list for obvious reasons. Did not include Pittsburgh. Okay. So you can kind of get a gist of who's going to be on the list. It's a matter of where they fall. And I'll leave it at that. I'll leave some of the rest up in the air. But I did not include Carolina, New York, and Pittsburgh. Before we go on, we all agree on that one at least. Right? Now I understand, Pittsburgh has Professor O's guy. Their quarterback situation is muddy. And yes, when we talk about passing attacks today, we're going to be talking about the quarterback and the weapons. The quarterback and not the offensive line. I'll briefly touch on some scheme things, especially for one team in particular, but more so looking at the quarterback, the weapons, scheme. We'll go in that route. All right. But Daniel Jones and them boys, no. Whoever the hell is playing quarterback in Pittsburgh, no. And sorry, Carolina, no. Pittsburgh, iffy. I'm just not believer in their offense. I believe. But let's talk about, and when I say believe, trust and believe me, I'm not saying that this team puts fear in my heart or anything like that, but we are talking top 10 passing offenses the Cowboys will face. And at number 10.
Number 10.
The Washington football people. Drafted rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels out of LSU, former Heisman Trophy winner. They have a collection of weapons in Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. I think those are two pretty good, solid wide receivers. We usually have success against Terry McLaurin, though, especially if number 7 is playing. They signed Zach Ertz. Thought that was peculiar because I always thought the tight end that they had, former quarterback, was a solid tight end. And in fact, I thought he gave the Cowboys more trouble than most. But they elected to go the other way, and they brought in Zach Ertz. I have them 10 here, which means they aren't striking the most fear in my heart. And if I remember correctly, we did a quarterback ranking last year, 2 years ago, and guess who was at number 10 at that point in time? Sam Howell and the Washington football people. Now, Jaden Daniels could surprise us. Rookie quarterbacks, given their situation, I have to take a look at it. The Washington football people's line, not that great. I know we said we're going to talk about lines. The offensive scheme, former offensive scheme that Colin Murray had, he didn't flourish in it. I have my questions, but I will take them over, obviously, the Giants in Pittsburgh, me personally, and Carolina. So I got the Washington football people at number 10. Oh, this is what we're going to do, too. Too high, too low, or just right. Again, rules are mostly we're talking about the quarterback and the weapons, the receiving weapons. Some of these teams you are going to have to include a running back because they catch the ball at the backfield a lot. And Brian Robinson catches the rock at the backfield, so you can include him here if you want. But I feel like number 10, too high, too low, or just right. To me, I feel like it's just right. It damn sure ain't too low. I don't think we can bump them up past some of these other teams. Too high, too low, or just right on the Washington football people. Professor O says just right, too high. So you bumping them out. Who we putting in, Sko? Or not Sko, Seabros. No. John said I'm not scared. Hey, John, let me reiterate this thing. Where my guy at? Hey, Bernie, tell him, Bernie.
I ain't scared of you, mother.
We gotta stop. We gotta start eliminating that word, right? This whole scare. I hate when people say that. When we're breaking down teams and whatnot, nobody's saying we're scared. We're breaking down teams. But yes, I'm not scared of Washington. But we're ranking the top 10 passing attacks And to me, they fall at the very bottom here. So who we putting in over Washington? Mind you, I took out Carolina, New York, Pittsburgh. Are we putting in Pittsburgh over them? Is that where we're going? I gave you 3 teams that are not on this list. At the end of this thing, I think you guys will say just right. I do. I think you'll say just right. All right, let's do number 9 here. Now, this is where things are going to get tricky right away.
Number 9.
The Baltimore Ravens. Whoa. Wait a minute. Skywalker Still. How the hell is the MVP quarterback of the league number 9? What? I told y'all the list was going to be one where we'd have to have some conversations. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, right? MVP. I don't think he should have been, but whatever. Zay Flowers, big fan. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Hear me out. Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. That is their passing attack. I like a lot more passing attacks better than this one. I do. Now, I know we're not going to agree on this one. But think about it for a second. I like Zay. He's a rookie last year. He'll come on and he'll be even better this year. But who's his running mate? Nelson Aguilar? Hey. Find me Bateman? Hey. Find me this duo or trio of guys in that receiving core that is dangerous. I don't see it. Now, Mark Andrews, I personally think is their best receiving weapon. And he is a good player, right? He's the top 5 tight end in this league. So, I'll give Mark Andrews the benefit of the doubt and rank them high. To me, this is about right for me, but rank them because of Mark Andrews. Well, Sky, what about Lamar Jackson? Hey, dog, I don't think Lamar Jackson, from a throwing standpoint, consistently is one of the better passers in the league. Does it look pretty? Yeah, his ball, when he throws a deep ball, when he puts zip on it, it looks great. When he's running around, it looks great. Getting out the pocket, it looks great. But if you say, hey, I want Lamar Jackson to beat me with his arm, you got a shot. Sometimes you're going to lose if you ain't good enough because he's good. But I would 100% would rather Lamar Jackson try to beat me with his arm. Problem is, if we were talking about offenses, if we were talking about including the run game, including his legs, they go way up. We're just talking passing attacks. So Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Solid little group. I like others better. That one's going to cause a lot of controversy there. That was going to cause a lot of controversy. Oh, yeah, 2 high, 2 lows, just right. Lots of 2 lows. Aaron said, Sky, I agree, but they're going to run for 250. Facts. And we don't shore up this run defense, they're definitely going to run for 250. Tez Washington, interesting pick. I mean, they have to keep taking wide receivers because they never just sign like a bona fide guy. Now, Zay, I think, is going to develop into a pretty damn good wide receiver. So I like that. Lamar for fantasy. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, we're talking about including Lamar Jackson's legs and stuff like that. Oh, man, come on. I would imagine he's a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Ravens going to run for 600. Aislinn just right. Lots of 2 lows. I figured that. I figured that would be. I gotta feel. So real quick, before I keep going, are they a top 5 passing attack to y'all? Just out of curiosity. Are they a top 5 passing attack? And I know, raw stats aren't everything, but Lamar have 24 tutties last year. How you win the MVP with 24 touchdowns passing? Now, Lamar Jackson in, what was it, y'all, 2019 or whatever it was, 2020, 21, whatever. Different story. Different story. So they're not top 5. Okay. All right. I'm just making sure. So y'all got him a little above 9, but not in the top 5. Okay. All right. So we not that far off. We not that far off here. But this is where it's going to get a little testy. Some teams are going to be ranked above them, and you're going to say, how? MVP Lamar Jackson. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. Number 8.
Number 8.
The Atlanta Falcons. Now, again, hear me out. Tags are touching, so it's not like this is outrageous. They went out and signed quarterback Kirk Cousins. Now, before you sit here and we key and he at Kirk Cousins can still throw the ball. Kirk Cousins, before he went down and hey, Shaq, you in the building, he can tote that thing. So we know, give him weapons, Kirk can put up prolific numbers. Who are his weapons? Drake London is definitely inserting his name into the next crop of young guys. Love Drake London's game. Kyle Pitts. Before you poo-poo on Kyle Pitts, he's finally up from under Arthur, was it a Smith? Not a fan of Arthur Smith. New head coach, new offensive coordinator that comes from the Shanahan tree, by the way. So I feel like the Falcons passing attack will utilize a Kyle Pitts better. Okay. They went out and got Darnell Mooney. For those who aren't familiar with Darnell Mooney, maybe one of the most underrated wide receivers that no one talks about. Underrated, there's underrated receivers that guys talk about, but then there's underrated receivers nobody's talking about. And that's because he got stuck in Chicago with that situation. Darnell Mooney's good. They also signed Rondale Moore. We should know about Rondale Moore. Took off for 50-some yards against us week 3 with the Cardinals. So I look at Drake London, look at Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore. Kirk Cousins is the quarterback now, not the collection of whoever the hell they had. Plus, they get a new offensive system that is from that McVay Shanahan style. And then you throw in, Bijan Robinson, who is part of the passing attack. I think they're far better. I got the tags touching. And again, this is where I fight my own self. I think they're far better than the Baltimore Ravens passing attack. So too high, too low, just right. And trust me, I actually fought myself on moving them up. I fought myself on moving Atlanta up because I personally like Rondale Moore, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. I think that's a hell of a collection. And then you throw in Bijan Robinson. That's a hell of a collection of passing attack weapons. And now you got a quarterback that can distribute the rock. Just right. Cousins coming off an injury. That's fair too. Cousins is coming off an injury, but Cousins ain't never had. What Cousins got to use his Achilles for except for the drop back? You know what I mean? Cousins ain't going nowhere. So just drop back and throw the rock. Just right. If we talking passing, they too low. I'd argue probably more too low than anything. All right. So again, that's why this is fun. Choose your fighter. The Baltimore Ravens passing attack or the Atlanta Falcons. Remember, a lot of y'all said the Ravens were too low. Baltimore Ravens or the Atlanta Falcons. Choose your fighter. Shout out to my guy, KD Drummond. Too high with Penix, just right because injury. Too high with Penix. Oh, yeah. I wasn't even thinking of Penix. Hey, Shaq, I know, brother. I know. Shaq is like, hey, dog. 4th and 8. Kirk Cousins. Shaq, the Vikings fan's not a fan of Kirk Cousins. And I get it. Too hot. So a lot of unknowns. Picking Atlanta. He's picking Atlanta. So now you see where I'm going here. Eddie's picking the Falcons. Texas picking the Falcons. Falcons are improving. Sure, sure they are. Baltimore with the Falcons. Soto. Baltimore, since there are far more unknowns with Atlanta. Okay. All right. So some still sticking with Baltimore. Let's go to number 7 here. This is where we can have a little. You can talk me off the ledge on this one.
Number 7.
You can talk me off the ledge on this one. No. There we go. Number 7. If we can get it to work here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Quarterback Baker Mayfield, who's coming off of a impressive little run here in the postseason last year in his 2 games that he played, beating the Eagles, and then taking the Detroit Lions to the wire. We are familiar with this team, played them a bunch over the last 3 or 4 seasons. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Kate Otten. Right off the bat, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I think, are the best 1-2 wide receiver punch in this last 4 teams, right? Washington, Baltimore, Atlanta, Tampa. Those 2, to me, trump Terry and Jahan, Flowers and Aguilar, London and Mooney, right? The top 2. I'd argue, though, I kind of like how the Falcons go a little bit deeper. So that's why I say I can be moved here. Mike Evans is still like that. Mike Evans should be in the Hall of Fame. One of the most consistent wide receivers since he got here. He's just not a big name in the sense of DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Johnsons and all that. But he's at what, y'all? 10, 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons. I mean, he's ridiculous. He's just the epitome of consistency. Chris Godwin, one of the better big slots in the league, can be versatile in and out, does get dinged up. And when those 2 guys are healthy, those 2 guys are a formidable 1-2 duo. But again, I got the Falcons, and I'm keep bringing up them for a little bit, and the Bucks touching tags here. But could they be swapped? Could Atlanta go higher? Could Tampa go lower? Too high, too low, just right on Tampa Bay. Too high, too low, just right. Schiff doesn't like Baker. Kate Otten is a pretty solid tight end, but they don't have a bunch of them. Baker, I'll tell you this. This is another reason why I would say you could argue a little bit here about the uncertainty of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know we could argue about a bunch of uncertainty on a lot of these teams because some of these teams have new players, new coaches, right? I'd argue there might be a little bit more uncertainty with Tampa because you saw Baker Mayfield have a career season. Baker Mayfield was really good last year. The best of his career under a coordinator who was gone now, who was taking the job with the Panthers. So who is Baker's? Let me see here. That's Tampa Bay OC. Liam Cohen. Not familiar with the old boy. Let's see where Liam Cohen comes from. 3 seasons with Kentucky. Oh, there we go. And the Rams. Okay. He was the OC in Sean McVay's offense in 2022. Well, maybe that changes a little bit. I didn't know who the Buccaneers offense coordinator was. They lost a pretty good one to Carolina, and they replaced him with a dude who's touching tags with Sean McVay. So, maybe he doesn't drop off. So anyway, too high, too low on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 7. Let's see here. Mike Evans, always underrated. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I love Mike Evans' game. Tampa attack better than the Saints? Well, I hate to spoil it for you, but the Saints ain't making this list. You know, I don't have them on the list. So there was the other team I had hanging around there that is not on this list. Too high. Too high for me. He's him. I think Mike Evans is like that. Too low, just right. You know you got a good list when you got a bunch of people all over the place with it. That's good. That's good. Okay. So let's recap real quick before we finish off the bottom 5 of this list. Number 10, Washington. Number 9, Baltimore. Number 8, Atlanta. Number 7, Tampa. Let's see here. This is really interesting to see where you got. This is the one where I was like, honestly, I have no idea where to put them. I felt like they needed to be in the bottom 5, but I had no idea where to put them. Number 6. The Cleveland Browns. The ultimate wild card here isn't the weapons. Love the weapons. It's the diddler. I mean, it's the quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Ooh. What Deshaun Watson are you getting in Cleveland? You know? Because he got the weapons now. Amari Cooper, is still Amari Cooper. Fantastic wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy has been kind of wasted in Denver. I don't really blame Jerry. Now, the Jerry Jeudy off the field or the mental aspect of Jerry Jeudy, but the talent Jerry Jeudy, I'm a fan of. I think Jerry Jeudy is going to fit fine next to Amari Cooper. David Njoku is a top 5 type talent at tight end, and he's stepped up to play that way. Pro Bowl tight end. I love their weapons. I don't like the quarterback. And that's why I could argue this is too high. It had to be on the list, though. But I don't know where to put them on the list. As you guys can tell, I'm a big fan of this Falcons team in regards to their weapons. I probably would take them over this only because I would take Kirk Cousins over Deshaun Watson. I don't trust Deshaun Watson to be consistent week in, week out. Shaq, I know that's, you hate Kirk Cousins, but can we argue at least he's consistent in the sense of, you're going to get a guy that can go out there and throw the rock around and give you a shot from a passing standpoint. So where y'all putting the Atlanta Falcons? And mind you, the Cowboys are going to be facing all these teams, right? And we on our first game of the season. I think you're getting the Browns at a good time, in my opinion. Jerry Jeudy's still new, probably trying to figure out how to get in this offense. Deshaun Watson, first game back in a long time. Coop, you hope they're still arguing about a contract dispute. David Njoku is going to be a problem. That just is what it is, unless, I think they should use, and again, this is breaking down week 1, but they should use Wanye Thomas. I would love to put Wanye Thomas on David Njoku. But Coop, Jeudy, and Njoku in general, big fan of that. Deshaun, I'm not. So too high, too low. And where would you put him? I don't even know if it's just right. If some believe it's just right, that's cool too. I feel like I might have ranked him too high. Where would you put Cleveland? I'd almost probably go a couple spots lower. Hell, I believe in Baker Mayfield more than I believe in this dude, Deshaun Watson, at this point. 9, yeah, I probably would too. If you want to have an argument about Baltimore, we were talking about where would Baltimore fall. I'd probably take Baltimore because I don't trust Deshaun. At least I know Lamar going to be Lamar. Looking at their weapons here, I like their weapons better. I like Coop, Jeudy, and Njoku better than Flowers, Andrews, likely. But the quarterback trumps it. So there, I think you can I think you can move Baltimore up a slot, throw them down at 9. I think they're too high. 9 sounds good. So you got the Ravens at 10. I would take the Ravens above them. I'd still take the Ravens above them. Now, if you want to go them at 10 and then keep Baltimore at 9, that's cool. So here you go. For those who may have missed it, number 10, Washington. Number 9, Baltimore. Number 8, Atlanta. Number 7, Tampa Bay. Number 6, Cleveland. That's where we have it at right now. For the bottom 5, where would you throw some of these teams at? Already y'all saying the Browns at 9 or 10. A lot of you guys off the rip said Baltimore higher. So you said Baltimore's not top 5. So where would they fall in this? Are they 6? Are they 8? You know? Where we falling here? Matisse said, I don't trust Watson. No, the Giants did not make the list. So I think I just named off all the teams, not that I included the Saints. New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Carolina, and the Giants off the list. Off the list. Atlanta, you'd go higher on Atlanta, T-Dub? I would go higher on Atlanta. If I had to move a team up, I'd probably put Atlanta 6. If I had to revamp this whole thing, I'm talking it through with y'all, I put Cleveland at 10. I mean, at this point, I'd go Cleveland 10. I stick with Baltimore, Tampa. Am I right? Cleveland would be Cleveland 10, Baltimore 9, Tampa 7. Did I get that right? Oh, Washington. I mean, Washington will be out. No. Washington 10, Cleveland 9, Baltimore 8, Tampa 7, and then I go Atlanta 6. Keep forgetting about Washington. I put Pittsburgh on the list, Kelvin. I don't think they have a quarterback. And I'm not a fan of their weapons either. Not a fan of weapons. All right, so that's the bottom 5. Let's go top 5, baby.
Number 5.
Number 5, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to talk too much about scheme, but there are a handful of teams where I have to, especially in the top 5. Let's talk about the personnel. Quarterback, Jalen Hurts.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no.
Wide receivers and weapons, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. They added a little tricky one here, too, in Paris Campbell. But let me tell you something about this team, man. Weapons-wise, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown probably could be higher. But Kellen Moore's your offensive coordinator now. No, bomb. They don't get a bomb squad. Jalen Hurts is your quarterback in a Kellen Moore scheme. Dog, I could argue they too high. Hold on. All right. All jokes aside, let's really talk this thing through. Look, I see y'all in the chat right now. QBR. Man, Jalen Hurts. Come on now. Like, are we done with this conversation, by the way? I mean, I know we are. We ain't having this conversation. Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott, that's not even, should have never even been a conversation. But can the national media, they done with it? Is it over? Are you done or are you through? All jokes aside, I think they have fantastic weapons. And I did put them in the top 5, to be fair. I don't see how this marriage is going to work. I don't see how Kellen Moore and a quarterback who can't read a defense. You know, there are still goofballs out there who believe that Dak can't read a defense. You're out of your mind if you still believe that. You don't watch film. You don't know the quarterback if you still believe it. It's truly people saying he reads defense like a rookie. Come on, man. What are we doing here? No, Jalen Hurts reads defenses that way. That's who he is. They had to run a specific type of offense because he can expand his game. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from people inside the building in Philly. Shane Steichen did a fantastic, wonderful job of catering the offense, making it easier for a Jalen. And that's what offensive coordinator is supposed to do. But if my $200 and something million quarterback can't properly read full fields, well, I can take away these things a little easy. And that's what happened when they had a rookie offensive coordinator last year and Jalen Hurts was exposed. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, it's not going to get easier for Hurts. If this happened to be Jalen Hurts' second or third, fourth year in Kellen Moore's system, different story. Jalen Hurts' first year in the Kellen Moore system where he could be one and done, you know Kellen Moore is going in there and he's throwing up the offense on them. You know how I know? Because Jalen Hurts came out and said 95% of our offense is different. Whoa. They're not even keeping a good portion of the playbook that worked for them, according to Jalen. There's already riffraffs between Kellen and the coordinator. I'm sorry, and the head coach. He's trying to, too many cooks in the kitchen type situation. I think this has a chance to fall on its face. All hating aside, not all of it. There's some hate in there a little bit. Now, you can't explain that to Eagle fans. They feel like they got the next coming. We know what's coming. We've been here and done that with Kellen Moore. You went out and signed $30-something million running back. Good luck. I get it. Great offensive line. Fantastic weapons. I mean, again, it's why I have them at number 5. Last year, I think they were a little bit higher. Not too much higher, but a little bit higher. But that was with my understanding and thought that, hey, maybe Shane Steichen passed along his offense to whoever their coordinator was. I forget his name. Well, he was atrocious. Kellen Moore's an upgrade, sure, but the scheme is way more complex and it requires full field reads. It requires you to read options from 1 through 4. Sure, good luck, Jalen Hurts. So, with that said, number 5, too high, too low, just right. I feel this is just right. At the end of the day, with the whole Kellen Moore situation, I think this is a better grouping than all those teams. Nah, all of them. I'll go all of them. Than all the teams that we just named. Atlanta, Baltimore, Washington, Tampa, Cleveland. I think they are deservedly equipped to be in the top 5. I got my reservations on just how prolific they can be. Now, they might come out and like gangbusters. We've seen that before, right? We've seen that with Kellen. We've seen the Cowboys come out on fire the first 5-6 weeks of the season, and then teams pick up on it. And next thing you know, the offense is looking what, class? Next thing you know, you're in week 10, 11, 12, week 13, 14, and you're sitting here and you're like, this thing looking weird. This thing looking real weird. So that's all I'm saying. Too high, too low, just right. Shaq, just right. Facts, Jose. Either way, F them. Facts. It just made 5. Philly outside of Philly should be 13. INC just right. Yeah, Kellen's gonna get. I'm ready. I can't wait for this matchup. Now, it won't be Kellen Moore versus Dan Quinn again like it was last year, but last time Kellen Moore went up against Mike Zimmer. Now, I don't think Dak played, though. I think it was 2 times. Ironically, Dak didn't play in either. 2020 and 2021. Yeah, 2021. What was it there in 2021? I know in 2020, Dak didn't play. And we put up numbers on them. That was at the end of Mike Zimmer's tenure, right? They had a very bad defense over there. the personnel wasn't great. This personnel is different here in Dallas, right? And if it would behoove Kellen Moore to try to throw the rock all over the field, if Trayvon Diggs is back and they picked up this passing defense. Now, run the ball is a different story. Throw the ball, I welcome it. I welcome it. So number 5, got the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 4.
Number 4.
I've got the Detroit Lions. Yeah. Quarterback Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams. I think Khalif Raymond is a fantastic 4 type option. Obviously, Sam Laporta, all-pro season. Again, I said some teams I'm not going to talk about the scheme, but it's hard not to when you talk about Ben Johnson. And then if you want to go a little further, you throw in the running back out of Alabama who can catch the rock too. I mean, this is, hell, you could argue they can be higher. Maybe the most complete offense on this list. Now, again, we're talking just passing attacks here now. But if we were talking total offenses, I would probably put them in the top 2. But I still think they have a prolific passing offense. We shut that thing down for most of the game last year. But I do have them at 4. And I can be moved. I can be moved on Detroit. I love their scheme. I'm not a fan of Jared Goff, but Jared Goff can run an offense. He can throw the ball. I think he tends to get a bit too much love, but he's a solid quarterback. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think is great. Jamison Williams hasn't lived up to it, which is kind of why I have them at 4, is because their number 2 is their tight end. Fantastic number 2 in Sam Laporta. Jamison Williams, though, if he can turn it on, shit, man, you're talking about a passing offense that can be the best in the league, possibly. I like Khalif Raymond and then Sam Laporta, like I said. So number 4, I can. If you want to go higher on them, I will not fight you on the Detroit Lions. Too high, too low, just right. Too low. Ben Johnson is smooth. Too low, great O-line. I mean, hell, if you want to talk about offenses, again, I think this might be your most complete. 1-2. I'll go 1-2. I feel like it might be your first or second most complete offense. From a passing game standpoint, I personally like a few of the skill players. I think Philly's top 2 include their tight end. I think you could argue that they're better. I think you could argue Tampa's top 2 receivers are better. I think I like Atlanta. I'm not gonna say better though. But I think there is some debate to be had about top 2 receivers. St. Brown's so good though, it kind of helps. And we just don't know on Jamison Williams. But I'm going on a limb here saying that Jamison Williams will get a little better than what do you have, y'all? 13 catches last year. And I know he was suspended. Ain't do too much. 24 receptions last year. So, you could argue Jamison Williams is kind of trending towards bust. 6 games his rookie year, 1 tutty. Played 10 games last year, 2 tutties. He has 395 yards total off. Jamison Williams has to turn it on this year, bro. If he don't turn it on this year, it would not shock me if their general manager looks to trade him. That's usually what general managers do. Goff is mild. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of I think 4 is right for me. I think Goff is. Yeah, they had to pay him. I get it. I would love to have Ben Johnson and Sean McVay. Can you imagine if Dak just walked into Ben? Now, he didn't walk into Sean McVay. He did not walk into that. He walked into Jeff Fisher. But it was Sean McVay telling him the plays up until the last second in his ear. Then goes to Detroit, gets Ben Johnson. That's beautiful. Man, chef's kiss. Number 3.
Number 3.
The team that they play in the NFC Championship game. The San Francisco 49ers. Now, this could change really fast. Quick, fast, in a hurry if Brandon Ayuk is not available. But right now, he is. And right now, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Deebo Samuels, and with Brock Purdy pulling the trigger as the point man in Shanahan's offense, it is a prolific passing attack. It was the most efficient passing attack in the NFL last year, and we should know. We got ate up by it. So hopefully that's not the case here with Mike Zimmer. But I 100% think this is a top 3 passing attack. And, I mean, everything statistically kind of backs that up. I don't think I'm taking any of the other ones. I mean, you could argue maybe Detroit if you're a bigger golf fan than I am, and if you believe in Jameson and Khalif more than I believe in Deebo. I'm not taking Cleveland, I'm not taking Tampa, not taking Baltimore, not taking Washington, not taking Atlanta. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna do that to Atlanta. So I feel like this is right. Philly, maybe you could argue about Philly. Maybe you could argue, you can make the argument. You'll obviously AJ Brown, Smith, and Goddard are a fantastic trio. But this group here is proven, tried and true, as one of the most prolific passing attacks in the National Football League. And I say that because when you hear how I feel about number 2, this is where we really about to get into some fights, some fisticuffs. But San Francisco 49ers, too high, too low, just right. Mind you, we're getting to the point now where we're talking about too low. You're either saying the number 1 or number 2. When I list off the next 2, I do want to revisit the top 5 and see where we move these guys around. Because I'll talk. We can move some around. We can move some around. Too high, too low on the Niners. Now, if Brandon Ayuk gets traded, I mean, they come off the list probably. I mean, maybe not off the list. It might be much. Maybe they get knocked down. But Detroit over San Fran, they touching tags. I don't think we can argue that. I mean, they're touching tag. I still think they're statistically are the more prolific offense, passing offense than Detroit was. Still take Kittle over Laporta. I'll take Ayuk and St. Brown. You could say same. All right. Deebo, I'm taking over Jameson. Should I take Brock over Jared Goff? I mean, no, but seriously, Brock Purdy in this offense or Jared Goff in their offense, it's like a push. Like a push. Ayuk makes a huge difference, but I think St. Brown, we're talking about Detroit and San Fran, St. Brown and Ayuk are comparable, right? Like those guys are fantastic. It's the 2 and 3 where I think that elevates them, plus scheme, right? This is a tried and true scheme as well with San Francisco, just as much as Ben Johnson's is. And so now it comes down to the depth per se of their passing attack. And I just think San Francisco has it. You ready for this?
Number 2.
Number 2, the Houston Texans. Whoa. Well, wait a minute, Sky. You just talked about tried and true and proven and all this and all that. I sure did, but you can chalk this up to maybe the best weapon they have there, and he ain't a player. Bobby Slowick. In all seriousness, though, they got some weapons. Nico Collins has developed into a fine possession wide receiver. Big body guy, amazing connection with CJ Stroud. Tank Dell, if he does not tear his ACL, Tank Dell's 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. Tank Dell is a fantastic top 3 option for them. Then they go out and they sign Stephon Diggs. If we're keeping it a buck, Nico, Tank, and Stephon Diggs probably rivals. I would say Brown and Smith are probably still the best 1-2. But after that, I mean, that 1, 2, and 3 is crazy. And then Dalton Schultz. Now, we know how Dalton Schultz is, the zoo and all that. But Dalton Schultz is still a very solid tight end who had a solid season with them. So Nico, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Schultz. Oh, by the way, CJ Stroud. He's definitely the next young quarterback, I think, that's going to ascend himself into the top 5 conversation at some point. I don't know if he's there yet, like a lot of people want him to be. But you have all that, right? And then you just sprinkle in. No, we're not talking about y'all right now. We're talking about Texans. You sprinkle in Bobby Slowick as the trigger man. I mean, hell, I'm about ready to take him over his mentor, but I ain't gonna do that yet. But Bobby Slowick pulling his trigger with Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, Stephon Diggs, and Stroud as the point man. Yeah, man, I'm really high, obviously, on Houston. I mean, you can maybe argue San Fran, Detroit because they're more proven. But bar for bar, when you line them up next to each other, I think I'd take that group. Now, you start throwing in the running backs, that's a different story. Just the receivers, though, right? The weapons, the passing weapons. Nico, Dell, Schultz, Diggs. Y'all, I mean, how many more of these? CJ Stroud, I think he's better than Jared Goff. How many more of these collection of weapons and quarterback? How many of these guys are you taking over? San Fran? I just told you I ain't taking Detroit. We got Philly fans in here. They'll probably take Philly. I'm not. I think he's already a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Yes, you heard what I said. Yeah. I think he's better. So, I mean, and we're not taking him over any other. So it's really the top 5, right? Like, who are you taking over Houston? Well, D-Shift, all these teams lost. It's not about grading them on one game. They also didn't have Stephon Diggs. They also were in year 1 of Bobby Slowick, too. So, I mean, I'm not going to go through every last one of these teams in the last game that they played because guess what? None of them are Super Bowl champions and only one of them played in the Super Bowl. So, I don't think that's not how we're looking at this thing. We're looking at this thing, once again, quarterback, weapons, and at the third level, scheme. When you take in account quarterback, weapons, and scheme, give me Houston over most of these teams. Big fan. Number 1.
Number 1.
Joe Cool and the Cincinnati Bengals. I wouldn't say the scheme is some amazing scheme. I won't go that far. No. But Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver on this list. T. Higgins is one of the best 2s on this list. They went out and got Jermaine Burton. I get it, he's a rookie, but Tank Dell was a rookie last year too. I think Jermaine Burton is such a fantastic fit. They lost Tyler Boyd and replaced him with a Tyler Boyd type of receiver. And an underrated get here, and maybe because of where he went, which I guess money, I don't know. Mike Gesicki, they went out and signed him at tight end too. I'm a tight end as well. I'm sorry. I'm a fan of Mike Gesicki. And then obviously, I think the best quarterback on this list, without a shadow of a doubt, is Joe Burrow. So I have them at number 1. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jermaine Burton, Mike Gesicki, Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals, number 1 for me. Mike Gesicki moves. So there you have it. Yeah, we're not talking offensive lines. If we're talking offensive lines, this whole list probably, I mean, Philly's probably number 1. Detroit's probably number 2 or 1 or 2, right? If we're adding in the O-lines, then Cleveland maybe bumps up into the top 5. But just purely talking passing attacks, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and throw in a little bit of scheme. Purely talking passing attacks, Joe's the best quarterback. Jamar's the best receiver. So if they got the best quarterback receiver duo, and then you take into account, I think T. Higgins is let me go look at the number 2s real quick. Let me see here. You got Debo, you got Smith, Godwin. Dotson. I don't know who's number 2 in Houston. It's Stephon Diggs, the tank down. But yeah, I think Higgins is one of the best twos on here too. So number 1 for me, the Cincinnati Bengals. So there you have it. My top 10. I'm gonna start off from backward. No. Let's do this. Yeah. We'll do the top 10. Number 10, the Washington Football People. Number 9, the Baltimore Ravens. Was the first one we thought we could move a little bit. Number 8, the Falcons. After talking this through, I'd move the Falcons up way higher. The Bucks, number 7. The Browns, number 6. The Browns will probably have the biggest gap of a move for me on this whole list. I would put the Browns all the way much lower, maybe 9 or 10. Detroit, I'm sorry, Philly, number 5. My top 5: Philly, Detroit, San Fran, Houston, which could be a surprise to a lot, but I absolutely love what they've done over there. And then Cincinnati as number 1, and that could change too, right? Like Houston could go up higher to me. If Jamison Williams makes that jump, Detroit can go number 1. San Fran, I think, is going to be very steady as a top 3, no matter what happens. I don't think they can be much better than they were last year, but I damn sure don't see them being way worse than 3, 4, or 5 at the best. I can see Philly falling out this top 5 by season's end. If I had to think of a team that could make a jump, a high jump, I'd say Atlanta. And if I had to see a team that could drop drastically, I'd say Philly. So there you have it. Let's move them around. Now you see my list. Let's get your list and let's discuss. Good question, Toxic. Of all these teams, where would you put Dallas? I would probably put them in place of Philly. And the only reason, not the only reason, one of the major reasons is because I think Dak is a much better quarterback than Jalen. Yes, we don't have that kind of third guy that they do. They got, Goddard and Brown and Smith. We more so got the top 2, I think, is obviously Lamb, and then you have Jake Ferguson, and then Cooks. I think Cooks is going to be better, though, 100%. I don't know if he's going to be Devontae Smith, but he'll be better. But I just think Dak is so much better. So I'd probably have them at 5. Hard-pressed to move them above Detroit, San Fran. I mean, maybe you could argue Detroit. Shit, you could argue Detroit, though. I don't like the scheme of Detroit, though. So I'll be fair and say 5. I think Houston and Cincy are better. Yeah. I think 5. I think 5 is about right. Like, I don't think we're as deep as Houston. I don't think we're as solidified as San Fran with this, and then you add in the scheme. I do like our quarterback better, but again, Cincy is tricky because Cincy be living off of a name, off of the names. Like Joe Burrow obviously is a name, but he's still Joe Burrow. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Jamar Chase a beast. Higgins is a beast. But I got nothing else. I mean, I like Gesicki, but I'm not a fan of the scheme. I think it's more driven by Joe. They don't even have anybody in the passing game out the backfield anymore. Shoot, the Bengals might actually drop a little bit further here by season's end. They could drop out the top 5. But I'm just predicting they're healthy. Everybody's ready to go. Got contracts taken care of. They ain't missing 10 games, things like that. Still a formidable passing attack. So anybody willing to drop their top 10? Yeah, it's when I was putting it together, like I said, Shift, at the beginning of this thing, up until the last minute, I was moving these around, man. I was moving them around. C said, good list, very debatable. Dallas doesn't have more weapons than Atlanta. That's fair, but give me Dak and CeeDee Lamb are the best wide receiver quarterback duo on this entire list if we're keeping it a buck. So that alone puts them in the top 5. Alone. But yeah, I think when you talk about weapons from 1 through say 5 or 6, yeah, it's hard to sit here and again, I'm a fan of Mooney, Rondale Moore, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. That's a hell of a get up there. T-Dub top 10, but not top 5. Hurt guy stay hurt. Yeah. I mean, Joe Cool is definitely a hurt guy now, right? TC915, we aren't playing Kansas City. So today's list is top 10 passing attacks the Cowboys defense will be facing in 2024. So that's why you see certain teams on here and other teams not. Thank you, Toxic. Toxic gave his top 10. Let's see. Oh, well, never mind. You know what, Toxic? Get about it. Let's talk to D-Shift. What's good with you, D-Shift?
Hey, what's up, Sky? Yeah, it's a little hard to be
Toxic
objective
got me,
right
man.
now. It's a little hard to be objective. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I don't like the moves Houston been making. I'll be honest with you. But I would probably like now looking at it.
Or you don't?
I'm jealous of the moves.
Oh yeah.
I'll
Same
put
here.
it that way.
Same here. I absolutely
Yeah.
hate the fact that Eastside Harold gets a chance to talk a little shit. I hate that.
Yeah, just out of nowhere, right? But it's cool. Like they like my only point with the Baltimore thing was like they still got to prove it type thing. You know what I mean? Like it's for any like if there was an East Side kind of lurking right now and getting hype, like it was just kind of like a check, like y'all still got to improve type thing. But my thing at first, like, 'cause I was like trying to think of San Fran, and I was trying to give Detroit a little more credit than Houston and Cincy. And I know you're not factoring in the O-line, but my only thing was I remember when we played Cincy, we probably would have, like, if we would have did this list before the season, we would have looked at the passing attack as something that would have been formidable, right? And then we go and play them fresh off their Super Bowl or whatnot, and their passing attack is null and void, obviously, because
that was the year they went to the Super Bowl. So they weren't the Super Bowl Bengals just yet. They were the trying to figure it out Bengals at the time.
No, we played them. We played them the same season as the Rams and Cincy.
Yeah, that was the year they went to the Super Bowl when we played.
That's not the year after. Because I remember a lot of hype like, oh, they're playing the Super Bowl teams. They can't beat the teams that went to the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback.
They went to the Super Bowl that was 2021, correct?
That year,
right?
No, this was.
Was that 2021? Yeah, because we had Cooper Rush. Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Hold on. No. Wait. Keep talking. I'll figure this out. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
But so either way, my thing, like just looking at it, like I know you don't want to factor in O-lines, but that's kind of the fun part when this does happen and when you get to actually play these teams.
I think you're right.
That was my only hesitation with like I said with Houston is because of their O-line setup. But like I guess just factoring it the way you're factoring it for sure. They're number 2 to me. I feel like San Fran's 1 just because of what those weapons have time and time proven against this team. Here or there, we can shut down one aspect, but another kind of warp pops up for the team. When you play that team or whatever. So yeah, man. I mean, hard to do because these teams are like real close. Yeah. So I mean, I can't really criticize. I can see how the list got put together the way it did. But good stuff, Scott. Appreciate you as always, bro.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was the next year. So that was 2020. We played them in September of 2022. So you're right about that. They were the Super Bowl Cincinnati Bengals. That year they went to the AFC Championship game, not the Super Bowl. Excuse me. So, yeah, Cincy going into that year, I would have probably ranked them pretty high too. In fact, I want to say we did that. I think we actually did one of those things. Smoke said, so explain how did our suspect defense beat Joe Cool? Smoke, was our defense suspect in week 2 of 2022? No. In fact, I'd argue the Cowboys' best 5-6 week stretch in the Dan Quinn era was during that time, including last year. Last year, they got a lot of turnovers early and whatnot, and it was, it was running up scores and pick sixes and whatnot, but they were playing stout defense against really good offenses. It wasn't just turnover or bust. So I don't think they were suspect at that time, number one. Number two, if the Cowboys have had success against one of these teams, which they did against Philly, they did against Detroit, they did against Houston 2 years ago, or whatever. Houston, I'm sorry, Cincinnati. That doesn't take away from the fact that this is still a good unit. This isn't about who the Cowboys are scared of, or that's what some fans are saying. It's just about ranking the top 10 passing defense or passing offenses the Cowboys defenses will play. Now, once we break that down, hell, you ain't got to go to 2022. The Cowboys defense play well against Detroit's passing offense. The Cowboys defense shut down Jalen Hurts. Does that mean they're going to be out the top 5? No, not at all. So I think we're kind of having two different conversations. So when you say, well, tell me how the Cowboys suspect defense, I know you're being sarcastic, but let's be real now. The defense wasn't suspect during that time. The defense played some of his best defense under Dan Quinn in 3 seasons during that time. So I don't think they were suspect. And that doesn't take away from the fact that this passing offense attack is still a formidable one, if that makes sense. Professor O got Cincy 1, Houston 2, San Fran 3, Detroit 4, Philly 5. So we actually lockstep in the top 5. You got Baltimore much higher. Fair enough. At 6, Atlanta 7, Cleveland 8, Pittsburgh 9, Washington 10. So who did you knock out? Did you knock out Tampa? Yeah, you knocked out Tampa. And you got, man, I'm just not feeling Pittsburgh's situation. Let me go see here, man. Now be honest with me here, Professor O. Be honest with me here. Did you put Pittsburgh in there because of your boy? You ain't got a lot of me, dog. You ain't got a lot of me. Nah, I'm sorry. There's no way. There's just no way. Bro, they got just George Pickens. Yeah, they signed Van Jefferson, drafted Roman Wilson. Ain't no way I'm taking Pittsburgh over Tampa. I'll fight you on that one. And I'm taking Baker Mayfield. Russ and Justin Fields. Well, they talking about using Justin Fields like Cordell Stewart. They said, hey, we're going to put Justin Fields in kick return. Nope, not doing it. Not as confident in Baker replicating. I mean, I'm more confident in Baker with that offensive coordinator and his weapons for the second consecutive season. I didn't even throw in Rachaad White out the backfield than I am with Russell Wilson, Roman Wilson, Van Jefferson, George Pickens. I like Pat Freiermuth, but he kind of just seen that to me. Yeah, nah, can't do it. I like Warren as a running back, but I think why not put respect over Rachaad White then? Twan said, when the defense is on, we're on. 100%. Fix the run stop. And I think we did with real backers. We just got to find some worthy of holding the middle. Yeah, we got backers. We don't have defensive tackles. They need to add there. Swain's top 10. Detroit 1, Houston 2, San Fran 3, Cincy 4, Philly 5. 6, Baltimore, Atlanta 7, 8, Cleveland 9, Bucks 10, Washington. All right. Moving around. Professor O don't trust Baker at all. I trust him more than Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. So that's not saying that Baker Mayfield is amazing, but give me him with that offense over Russ with that offense. D-Shift got San Fran, Houston, Cincy, Detroit, Philly. I can jive with that top 5. Atlanta, Baltimore, Tampa, Washington, Cleveland. Yeah, I don't see Deontay Johnson on here. What happened to Deontay? I can't quite remember what happened. Did he get cut or not cut, but suspended, moved? Roman Wilson good, but Roman Wilson, Van Jefferson, and whoever the hell else in the boys are not better than Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Nah, bro. INC said the list is power rankings, passing attack, not team. Stay focused, chat. We're gonna bring them back in. We're gonna bring them back in, INC. Where would the Packers be on the list? So the Cowboys don't play the Packers, but I'm a fan of how they're doing it, right? They took the wide receiver by committee and did it the right way. Now I'm sure they hope somebody in that receiving room steps up to become a bona fide stud number one wide receiver, but they got like 3 or 4 studs, really talented wide receivers, a good talented quarterback, and a great scheme. I like what the Packers have built. The Cowboys don't play them though. Like, again, if we're talking the whole league, I mean, I'm not putting Washington on there. I'm probably not putting, let me see. Cleveland. I'm not putting Cleveland on here. Probably not putting Atlanta. I like Atlanta, but I'm pretty sure I can find 3 other teams in the league that I'd take over those teams. He was traded to Carolina, so even more, bro. Even more reason why, no Deontay Johnson. Nah, bro. Miami was number 1 when we did this last year. Miami was number 1. And that was before we got a chance to see Tua take off. But I had Miami as number 1 last year. I think it was Miami. I think I might have had the Chargers in the top 3. Here was my top 5, if I remember correctly. Miami, and I don't know what order, but Miami was 1. Buffalo was in the top 5. I had the Chargers in the top 5. This is before they trade everybody, or cut everybody. Philly, I want to say, was in the top 5 last year too. I can't remember who the other team was, but yeah, definitely Buffalo, Philly, the Chargers, Miami were 4 of the 5. Not sure who the 5th one was. Said Love played well in the second half. Now they have to pay him, as they should. Look, don't get it twisted, man. Insert any of these other young quarterbacks or top quarterbacks in the league here in Dallas, and I'm having the same conversation. Pay them. Like, I'm not of this belief you can just find really damn good quarterbacks growing on trees. If you got one, especially one who's an MVP candidate, you keep that one and you move forward. So I know a lot of people might be like, hey, it's only 1 year for Jordan Love, but I think Jordan Love is a fine young quarterback going into the second year in this system as a starter. I think he has the front office and the coaching and all that behind him, and he's still young. So, yeah, I would pay Jordan Love just like I would have paid just about all the quarterbacks that got paid this offseason. So that's just me, though. What I would love to do is put quarterbacks in a totally different salary cap. That way you can do these things. I think the league actually would be better for it. Hear me out. You don't want teams having to make these decisions about franchise quarterbacks and moving on. Because here's the thing, especially in markets like Green Bay. When Green Bay is good, it's better for the league. When obviously Dallas is good, it's better for the league. When you have quarterbacks that are good in this league, that means a lot of these games should be competitive, and the league wants that. But if the quarterbacks are going to start pricing teams out, and so far no team has really said, nah, we're good. Now you're talking about certain teams going into quarterback purgatory, and that's just not where you want to be. I want to be in a league where they got 20 good quarterbacks. That's not the case, but I want to see that league. I want to be in a league where we're talking about greats again, right? Remember Tom Brady and Big Ben and Phillip Rivers and Peyton Manning, and they were all going at it at the same time. It was a wonderful league. I want to live in a quarterback league where we got 15 franchise quarterbacks. I don't know if you got 15 of them. It's hard. And I'm not saying that's easy. It's hard. But if they put those quarterback contracts in its own salary cap, then you don't have to think about paying a guy that you see has a potential in a Jordan Love. Lock it up, get it done. Let's move forward, and now let's build around him. And you can say, well, Sky, the point of it is to part of the gamesmanship is to say, all right, well, you paying this player XYZ. How do you pay other players? That is part of it, but I don't see quarterback contracts ever plateauing or ever decreasing. They're going to get to a point where it's absurd. Do you understand? We're at 60 million almost. Or when did that get paid? 2020? 2021? Whoever it was going into the 2021 season? That's 3 years ago. 40 million was it. It went up 20 million in 3 seasons. I got a feeling we're going to be looking at 85, 90 million in another 3 seasons, which means we're going to be at 100 million in 5, 6 seasons. Something has to give, man. It has to. And I get it. The salary cap is going to keep increasing, but so is the quarterback market. So that's my rant and raving on the quarterback market. I am for them getting their bag. Trust and believe me. I'm not saying don't, as a quarterback, don't get your money. Get your bread, especially if you're one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But at some point, what if another 20, and I'm not saying COVID, but what if something happens with the cap, right? I don't know. And now it's not increasing that 15%. It's only 8%. It is only, So give them their own cap and let's rock, man. Let's get in the league where we got 15 franchise quarterbacks and half the league is we're competitive. D Shift said we still mess it up. Yeah, this quarterback money is off the chain, Twan. And I've been talking about this a long time ago. When I was writing on Blogging the Boys, I had brought this up like, hey, we're heading into a very scary territory when it comes to the quarterback money. Very scary. I think if they're not going to do that, then quarterback contracts need to start looking like Pat. Even if you're Jared Goff, 10 years, 500 mil, and let's roll. Like, if we're not going to put them in their own category, baseball contracts, let's roll. Baseball players, they get 15 years, $750 million. It's crazy. It's absurd. Now I get it that theirs is guaranteed. The cap and the cap. There's a salary cap, hard salary cap, and no taxes or what have you. What is it called in baseball, or is that basketball? I'm thinking of. But either way, it's all guaranteed in baseball. Where in the NFL it's not. But I think we need to start trending more towards 10 years, 500 million. But why would quarterbacks really do? Like, Pat's going to do that because Pat ain't ever going anywhere in Kansas City. But quarterbacks and agents know, well, every 3 years I can be up for a payday, whether it's with that team or another team. Pat knows every 3 years he's up for a payday with Kansas City because Kansas City ain't never moving on from Pat. So that's never happening. I digress, man. Yeah, luxury tax. The NBA has a luxury tax, but baseball, for all my baseball folks in here, talk to me. Baseball is truly about how much the organization has, right? That's why Moneyball with the Athletics, they're a broke team. That's why Tampa had to do it differently. They didn't have a lot of money back in the day. That's why the Yankees just sign everybody because they got all the money. I would love for if it was that way in the NFL because the Cowboys are one of the richest teams in the league. Smoke said they don't want that Sky because Dallas would be a super team. For the sake of the league, I think something like that needs to happen. Baseball's all about the cash. Twan said top 5 wide receivers. Lamb's in there. Chase. Jetta. Devontae Adams. Tyreek. I get that right? You can rank them however you want to rank them. But if you want me to make it harder, here, let's do it. 1, CD Lamb. I don't care. CD 1. 2, Jetta. with all seriousness though, because wait a minute now. Like, don't get me wrong. Dude's probably the best receiver in the league, one or two. Why is it that CD Lamb gets knocked for being able to go inside? I don't get that. I don't understand it. Whatever. Reek number 3. Adams 4. Chase 5. How are we feeling about that? How you feeling about that? And Chase, you there's not a strong 5 right now, and I think Chase is a beast. Because you could argue, consistent wise, AJ Brown you might be able to throw in there, but I will never. AJ Brown. I got that right. That's what I'm saying, Twan. Why do they come at CeeDee Lamb for being able to move inside? Well, maybe it's just. Oh, let me watch my words. I ain't trying to get canceled. Maybe it's just the Eagle fans who whine and complain about that. They're going to be asking for A.J. Brown to slide inside when they see Kellen Moore. Bet. No, T-Roy. I'm a huge fan of Mike Evans. I don't think he's top 5 at the moment right now, but Mike Evans, Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer. You say you think the knock is he can't play outside. So I would say that they ain't watching CD Lamb, Mel. You know what I'm saying? Like, he clearly has shown you time and again that he can play outside. I think what makes CD Lamb so special is that he can be prolific both inside and outside. And he's become a better route runner, right? As the years go on. There was a point in time where you start talking about the best route runners in the league. You really wouldn't mention CD. Maybe he's outside of that talk. I think you got to talk about CD now. Don't believe me? Go watch him work the league last year. Now, let me take off my homer hat. Keeping it a bean. I put him number 1 because I'm a bit of a homer. When it comes to CD Lamb and ranking the top 5 receivers, not in general. Where I would like to see CD Lamb take the next step, it has nothing to do with his ability. It's about up here. It's about up here. The stats, the numbers, all that's going to be there. I just need him to be able to take that emotion, ball it up, and use it during the game for the better as best as he can. I get it. All these receivers are divas. All of them going to complain. All of them are going to pout from time to time. I can't be having that, though, in the biggest game of the year. No. I can't be. And my head's down on the sideline. I'm separate. I can't do that. Not the biggest game of the year. So for me, it's the mental part. And he said it. Hey, I've got to be better than that. Because he's so good. He's so important. And I don't think people understand the psychological part of human behavior. And I'm not saying I'm some psych major. Want to know why I start my show off with energy? Because I think that will reverberate to you guys, for me, for a listener that's maybe not watching. I don't like to do my show without that energy, period. Never know who's watching too. CeeDee Lamb is so good and so important. They watching you, big dog. Tolbert watching. Jake watching. Head coach watching. So if you are in the game's most important, that's going to have a trickle down effect. That's why you see, hey, dog, no. Come here. We can't have that. Not today. And then what happened once he started getting a few catches? Now the score was he started getting, doing the CD thing, and that's what we need, big dog. And if you pissed off, then show you pissed off to me. Like that's fine. You heard what Dak said. Hey, come over here. And I don't care what they think. If you need to say, dog, I need it here, not there. Or, hey, screw throwing it to Cooks. Throw it to whatever you need to do, tell me. That's a lot easier said than done for people that don't have that style of play. They don't have that mentality in them. That takes some working. It takes some working. And I think CD can do it. So for me, that's the next step. It's not on the field. It's not his ability. He's a 1,510 touchdown receiver, year in, year out now. Yep. Micah and CD both were like, we have to do better in uplifting our guys. Now Micah will get mad. You will see it all on his, but now he needs to do it a different way. Where CD, I would like for him to show that upsetness, that anger. Micah needs to take his anger and his frustration and ball it up and use it in a different way, right? Well, now how can I take that, galvanize my guys, raise their spirits, as he would say? We already know you're going to show your emotions on your sleeve. There's no hiding that when it comes to Micah. So now you have to do the same thing CD has to do. It's just different. It's just different. I like that, Toxic. He said, Sky, people expect people just to become a leader when leaders are made by making mistakes and learning from them. Facts. Leadership takes time to develop. 100% agree. As a military man, I'm pretty sure a lot of your experience comes from that. And I agree. You can't wake up and just be a leader. It is definitely going to take some time. Some people, it's natural. Dak Prescott, for instance. And others, it takes time. And you'll lead differently. Good conversation. D-Shift got Devontae, JJ, Reek, CD, Chase. Yep, that's my top 5. I got to bring that energy, dog. And sometimes INC, like there's days where it's like, man, am I feeling it? But I owe that to y'all. I'd be damned if I come on here and I don't bring that energy. And y'all like, man, what the hell's going on with Sky? Or some new viewers watching is like, man, this podcast trash. Like he boring or something, you know? Great conversation today, y'all. This is a good one. We might have to extend some of these power rankings out. I was kind of testing the waters here because we're right up against it with training camp. So a lot of our content will be based around training camp, but we might throw in some curveballs from time to time. This was fun. I do have another power ranking set up. I'm just kind of waiting to see where it will fit in with everything. So let me make sure I ain't missing no super chats. I did not. We good to go. If you enjoyed today's power ranking show, please do me a favor, hit that like button on the way out. Share this content. It was a little different than our normal Cowboys content, but again, I had fun with it. We did our top 10. If you're just dropping in, we did our top 10 passing attacks the Cowboys defense will face. And I talked myself out of my own list. I moved guys around. And we'll probably do that with another power ranking at some point. Maybe this week, maybe, like I said, we'll stretch this thing out. We got a long ways to go to the season. With that said, we got news. Damn. Jaguars extended Tyson Campbell. I remember Tyson Campbell coming out. That was Georgia, right, Professor O? Your guy. Was a fan. Was a fan of him coming out. 4 years, $76.5 million. I wonder if do you, real quick before we leave out here, Professor O, 4 years, $76.5 million for Tyson Campbell. I think he's a good corner. I remember when we were going up against him and we were studying, Jaguars tape. He was a guy we were talking about. Do you think that's a contract Deron Bland would sign next year? We'll discuss that on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Push the goddamn button.
Hey, wifey, she ain't lying. She said, energy during the newborn stage was a wild time. Is. I don't know how I do it, but I do it. Appreciate y'all. We out of here. Peace. When the last time they drafted a Georgia kid? How you not draft from the team? Look, it ain't always going to hit. But damn it, they win the national championships. I mean, technically, we did draft a defensive tackle that won a national championship.